So let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON,
The music is on.
Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai. Jai.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we welcome all of you to our weekly classes. Very happy to see we have here Auntie Neeta, then we have Deepti Adani, Divya, Anjali, Ranjit, Aja, Ayush, Disha Jadwani, and Disha Melwani. Then we have Kalpana, Karuna, Bhumika, Manju, Meena, Venkatchari, Neha, Pavani, Ritu Lalwani, Saket, and Venkatesh. Okay, so do we have any questions from the previous class? Any doubts? What did we see in the previous class? We are on chapter number? We are on chapter number?
Second chapter, of course.
54.
Oh, thank you. I was about to get a heart attack. And what's the title of chapter 2?
Oh my.
Yellow book is there. Square. Right side.
Contents of the Gita summarized.
contents of the Gita summarized. Okay. So Arjuna had 5 reasons not to fight the war. So far, Krishna has countered how many out of the 5 arguments of Arjuna?
3.
3. Which 3?
Compassion,
Compassion,
enjoyment,
enjoyment,
and the third one's. Third one, I don't know.
third one is
No, I don't remember.
who knows the third reason of Arjuna not to fight the war? Arjuna's third reason was fear of sinful reactions. Okay. So, how did Krishna counteract Arjuna's compassion argument?
By saying that these people on the battlefield are already dead.
Yeah. So
This that they are souls and not the human body. So do not lament for them because they're already dead.
yeah. So basically, by telling him the difference between the body and the soul,
So
he told him that compassion should be for the soul, not for the body. But Arjuna's compassion was for the body. So that's how he countered Arjuna's compassion argument by jnana, by giving him the knowledge, right, of the difference between the body and the soul. So the first lesson of spiritual life is to understand that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. Then how did Krishna counteract Arjuna's enjoyment argument?
he said
Whether
that
he whether he dies on the battlefield or wins the war, he will still enjoy.
He will still enjoy. So how will he enjoy if he dies on the battlefield?
Go to the higher planetary system.
Yes, he will go to the higher planetary systems or he will enjoy in heaven. And if he does not die on the battlefield, how will he enjoy?
He'll enjoy
His
he'll be the
kingdom.
king.
He will enjoy his kingdom, right? So that's how Krishna encountered Arjuna's enjoyment argument. How did Krishna encounter Arjuna's sin argument, that fear of sinful reactions? That time, what did Krishna say? So when Krishna, let's go back one step behind. When Krishna countered the enjoyment reason of Arjuna, Krishna was talking at which level in the yoga ladder?
the
Karma Kanda level, isn't it? So we saw Jnana and we saw Karma Kanda. The first 2 arguments were counteracted by Jnana and Karma Kanda. Now the third argument, fear of sinful reaction, Krishna combined Jnana and Karma, and he spoke about
the
Buddhi Yoga.
Yes, Buddhi Yoga, isn't it? So he said you work, but with knowledge. You do your karma, but with jnana. So when you combine work with knowledge, that is called as Buddhi Yoga, or in other words, is nothing but Bhakti Yoga. That is because when you work with knowledge, then you bring in your intelligence. That is intelligence. Okay, how you work in such a way that you're not caught up in the good and bad reactions. So even if you have good reactions, you will be bound up in this material world because you go to heaven and you have to come back, and bad reactions will take you to hell and again you have to come back. So either good or bad reactions, as long as there is a reaction, it means we are bound up in this material world. So when you combine work with intelligence, with jnana, with the knowledge that you're not the body but the spirit soul, so you dovetail the activities in Krishna consciousness. You do the same activities, but you Krishnaize the activities. You dovetail the same activities in Krishna consciousness. So then we are free from karma. Example, we eat, but we eat Prasad.
Prasad.
So now we are dovetailing the eating activity in Krishna consciousness. So now there is no reaction, because when we offer the food to the Lord, there is no reaction in that food. Okay, even if we are eating vegetarian food or vegan food, if we don't offer it to the Lord, then it has some reaction. Because even you may be the strictest vegetarian or vegan on the planet, still when you cook the food, right, some living entities have lost their lives in that food. So it cannot be completely karma free. Karma free food is only when it is prasad. Only prasad is karma free food, not vegetarian, not vegan. Okay, so like this, we dovetail all our activities in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is combining jnana with karma. So that is Buddhi Yoga. And that's how Krishna counteracted the sin argument of Arjuna, saying that if you dovetail your activities in Krishna consciousness, then you don't take any sinful reactions. Okay, so 3 arguments have been countered so far. What are the 2 remaining?
Destruction of the dynasty.
Destruction of the dynasty, or destruction of family values, right? Because the dynasty is destroyed, then there will be no more family values. Very nice. And the 5th argument is?
Decision.
Indecision. Indecision. Yes. So this we have to see later. So far, in the 3rd chapter, Krishna will counteract the 4th argument, and the last argument of Arjuna is counteracted in the last chapter, in the 18th chapter. Okay. Who can read today?
Mataji, can I read?
Yes, Neha. Thank you. Okay, so now we are in the last section of chapter 2, Sthita Pragya. So here Arjuna is going to begin this section by asking questions, and Arjuna is going to answer those questions for the rest of the chapter. See, in the previous verse that we saw in the previous class, here in 53, Krishna is describing a person whose mind is fixed up. Right? Krishna is saying that when the mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, he remains fixed in the trance of self-realization. So here Krishna is describing that when one is no longer disturbed by the flowery words of the Vedas, then he remains fixed up. His mind is fixed up, right? So therefore now Arjuna is going to ask, what are the symptoms of such a person whose mind is fixed up? What are the symptoms of a person who is not disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas? See, the Vedas have 4 subject matters. Does anybody know the 4 subject matters of the Vedas?
No meat eating, no intoxication, no.
No. No, those are the 4 regulative principles.
Dharma, atharma, kam, and moksha.
Dharma,
Artha,
artha, kama, and moksha. Yes, very nice. So what is dharma?
religion.
What kind of religion? Material religiosity. Okay, karma kanda, that religion. Because we discussed how the Vedas begin with material religiosity. Like, yes, you engage in a religious practice, but I want something in return.
Yes.
So, yeah, so dharma means material religiosity. Then artha is?
Material development.
Yeah, economic development, right? Financial improvement. So dharma, artha, then kama. What is kama?
Lust.
Yes, sense gratification, right? And gratifying your senses or gratifying your lust. Then moksha,
Liberation.
Salvation.
liberation. So this is how the Vedas progress. Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma means material religiosity. So when we engage in material religiosity, or when we do these different religious practices, we want something in return, then automatically it improves our artha. our economic development. When there is economic development, then automatically there is sense gratification, because with our economic development, we gratify our senses. Then when we realize that no matter how much we gratify our senses, there is no satisfaction, then we come to the point of frustration. And then we want moksha. We just want to get out of this material world, because we realize that we cannot gratify our senses in this material world. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Now, what does a devotee desire out of these four?
Moksha.
Moksha. A
No,
devotee desires moksha.
nothing.
No,
Nothing.
love of God. Love of
Love
God.
of God, yes, because
Yes.
even beyond moksha, there is a higher goal. The highest goal, moksha is not the highest goal. The highest goal is to develop love of God. So a devotee does not want dharma, artha, kama. He does not even want moksha. The only thing he wants is he wants to serve the Lord. Now, it doesn't matter for a devotee whether he's serving the Lord in the material world or whether he's serving the Lord in the spiritual world. Not everybody who walks the planet, not everybody who's on the material world is conditioned. There are liberated souls also in the material world. So there are self-realized souls even on the material world. We don't know who is what. You don't know which soul is in which body. You may actually come across someone who may look like a complete, tattered clothes, maybe a foul smell coming from his body, but probably he's a self-realized soul. You never know which soul is in which body. You cannot say. So a devotee is beyond dharma, artha, kama, and even moksha. So because here Arjuna has said in 53 that a person who is not disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas and his mind is fixed up. Now Arjuna wants to know what are the symptoms of such a person. And this is what Arjuna is going to ask in 54 and 55. And for the rest of the chapter, Krishna is going to answer these questions of Arjuna. So let's hear the verse. Oh, 1 second.
अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम्.
Translation. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in the transcendental? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk?
So I'm sorry, Arjuna's questions are only in 54, not 55. Actually, 55 Krishna speaks. So here 54, Arjuna is asking, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence? He wants to know how does this person come across? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? Now, for a gross materialist, this may appear like, somebody who's going for a beauty contest. So how to sit, how to talk, how to walk, all these things are taught. But of course, Arjuna is asking deeper questions here. So he's asking ka bhasha kim prabhasheta, kim ashita, and brajeta kim. How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? And what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence? In other words, what Arjuna is asking here is how does he, like in Hindi we say, wo kaise pesh aata hai? How does he come across? This is what Arjuna wants to know. So first Krishna is going to answer Arjuna this question. What are the symptoms of such a person?
श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all the varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness.
So Krishna is talking about the symptoms. So he's giving us two symptoms here, basically, of such a person. What are the symptoms Krishna is saying? He has given up all varieties for sense gratification. So he does not have any desire for gratifying his senses. And two, he is satisfied in the self alone. So he is self-satisfied. Now this word here, mind. What do you think? Mind is internal or external?
External.
Internal.
Internal. So why do you say it's internal?
Because we can't see, and the thing is that what is the reaction we don't know. Means it can change. Mind can change anytime.
Okay. So who said it's external?
Me,
Okay. Why do you say it's external, Ayush?
because it's a part of the human body.
It's a part of the human body. So how does that make it external? Which part of the human body? The human
The
body has
mind,
different parts or body.
because the only thing that's really like internal is the soul.
Ah, Ayush, come to the head of the class. Very nice. Okay, see the body there are two bodies, right? Gross body and the subtle body. Gross body is made of the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Gross body is what we see in the mirror. Now, subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So if you look at the point of view from the gross body, you can say mind is internal, because of course external is a gross body, the mind is internal, right? It belongs to the subtle body. But if you look at from the point of view of the soul, then mind is still external only, because the soul is covered first by the subtle body and then by the gross body. See, here you have the soul. The soul is covered by intelligence, mind, and ego. So this is the subtle body. Then beyond the subtle body, you have this gross body, which is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So this mind, actually from the point of view of the soul, is still external. That's the reason why it's very hard. See, sometimes people say that, oh, I tried yoga. Of course, now in the modern age, the meaning of yoga has changed. No, the real meaning of yoga means to unite with the Lord, to be with the Lord. But nowadays, yoga has reduced to some exercises to maintain your posture, to maintain good health, like that. So people say that I tried yoga, I tried Maun Vrat, I went for these. Sometimes people are sent to a dark room with the one green light burning, and they say that, oh, it felt very nice. But at the end of the day, it will not bring them peace. It will not calm their mind. So they say that I tried so many things, but it did not work. So they give up on spirituality. Why? Because they have only tried to come to the level of the mind. But actually, if you want real satisfaction or you want full satisfaction, you have to go even more inside, even more internal. You have to go. You have to go to the soul, because only if the soul is satisfied, then your mind can be at peace. So Krishna is saying that such a person has given up all varieties of desire for sense gratification. See, the mind is always going to ask us for more and more sense gratification. But when you come to the level of the soul, when you realize that I am spirit soul, then we can find satisfaction in the self, because we are the spirit soul. Only then we can be fully satisfied. So a Sthita Pragya is someone who has no desire for sense gratification. He has conquered his mind. He is now purified of all desires, material desires, and he finds satisfaction in the self. Let's go to the next verse.
दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते.
Translation: one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind.
So in the previous verse, what was Arjuna's question that Krishna answered? Which of these questions did Krishna answer in 55? Okay. In 55, Krishna answered this question. What are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence? What are the symptoms? And what are the symptoms? Krishna said is that the person has given up varieties of sense gratification. He is satisfaction alone. Okay. So basically, the symptom is that a person is given up all desires for external pleasures, and he is finding pleasure internally at the level of the soul. Now, Krishna is going to answer the next question. How does he speak in 56? So what does Krishna say? One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So this person, a sthita pragya, is not disturbed in mind. So in this verse, is there any reference to speech?
Muni?
What's that?
Muni? No.
Where?
Sthita?
Sthita here Munir.
No, sthita means mind is steady. Actually, there is no reference to how a person speaks in this verse. What Krishna is describing here is the mentality of such a person. The mentality. So what is the mentality of such a person? That he is not happy when there is happiness, and he is not disturbed in mind when there is distress. That is the mentality of a sthita pragya. So because, see, before speech comes one's mentality. So in 56, Krishna is talking about the mentality of a person, and 57, he'll speak about the speech of a person. How mentality comes before the speech of a person? For example, if there is a wedding if there's a family wedding, right? And we see someone who has just entered the wedding venue, and we know that that person is a troublemaker. So first of all, we are thinking, oh my God, I hope there is no problem in this wedding. I hope this person doesn't create a scene here. We are thinking like that, right? That's what is going on. That's the thought process. But when we go and meet the person, because he has just arrived, we go and welcome him. We may say, I'm very happy to see you. Please come. You're welcome. So the mentality comes before the speech. So here Krishna is talking about the mentality, and in the next verse, he will talk about the speech of a person. So he's saying that such a person is not disturbed even amongst miseries, and he is not happy when there is happiness. Now, what are these threefold miseries? What are the threefold miseries of material nature? The threefold miseries of material nature are Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Daivika. So Adhyatmic miseries are miseries which are coming from our own mind and our own body. We may have some disease, or we may have some stress issues which are troubling our mind. So these are called Adhyatmika Klesha or Adhyatmika misery. Miseries coming from our own mind and body. Then we have Adi Bhautika, miseries that are caused by other living entities. It can be a mosquito, it can be a terrorist, it can be any living entity that is causing us miseries. So that is called Adi Bhautika. And Adi Daivika are miseries arriving from, miseries coming from natural calamities, earthquakes, famines, cyclones. So these are the miseries that are caused by natural calamities. So these are the three miseries of material nature. So Krishna is saying that a Sthita Pragya, he is not disturbed by the threefold miseries. Neither is he happy when there is happiness. Then he is talking about three factors here, three things here. He says that such a person is free from attachment, fear, and anger. Vita, raga, bhaya, and krodha. Such a person is free from attachment, fear, and anger. A devotee is free from attachment. A devotee does not say that, okay, I will do my service if such a condition is fulfilled. For example, our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, he had received the instruction from his spiritual master to go and preach in the English language in the West. That was the instruction he received from his guru. And the very first meeting, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, do this. Now, Srila Prabhupada had no finances. He had never traveled to the West. He has no contacts in the Western world. So Srila Prabhupada didn't think that, okay, but only if I have money, I will go to the West and try to follow the instruction of my guru. All that he wanted was, I want to follow the instruction of my spiritual master. So he went through so many difficulties. Now, Srila Prabhupada, he didn't have age by his side. He was on the verge of his 70th birthday when he went on to the West. He did not have a flight ticket. He had to go by sea. After he reached the US, of course, he has no contacts, no money. And he suffered 2 massive heart attacks on the Jaladuta, on the boat, on the ship that took him to the US. Then after he reached there, it was very, very cold. The climate is too cold for him. There is no, in the Western world at that time, vegetarianism was something that was never heard of. It was for them, vegetarianism was something that is very weird. He had to stay with a family where in the fridge, he had to share the fridge. That fridge, the family had meat stored there. So he had to share the fridge with them. Then after, when he went to stay in another place, the person with whom he shared the room, he came under the effect of drugs and he attacked Srila Prabhupada. And then even in the Western world, initial days, his typewriter was stolen. His manuscripts, he was translating the Srimad Bhagavatam, he was translating the books for us. And all his manuscripts also were stolen. So imagine he has gone through so many difficulties, but then Srila Prabhupada didn't say that only if I have this facility, only then I will try to fulfill the instruction that my Guru Maharaj has given me. So a devotee is free from attachment. Free from fear also. A devotee is completely fearless. Srila Prabhupada did not fear that, okay, I have no money, I have no contacts, I don't have age, I don't have youth. So how will I do it? He has no fear. He has full faith that Krishna will help him. Even if you see in in the story of Prahlad, so many times Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad. He threw him from the cliff. He made him drown in the water. He tried to set him on fire, and so many other ways. He tried to get elephants to trample Prahlad, but never once did Prahlad have fear in his mind or on his face. He had full faith that the Lord will save him. So a devotee is completely fearless. And anger, a devotee is also free from anger. Now, of course, anger can be spiritual also. For example, when Hanuman went to Lanka and he burned the whole of Lanka, he was anger, but that anger is spiritual anger, transcendental anger. We are talking about material anger. So a devotee is free from attachment, fear, and anger, Krishna says. So anger, let's say somebody is putting in some effort and there is no result. The result is not coming. Doesn't mean that the devotee is angry at the Lord that, oh, why did you do this to me? A devotee will never tell the Lord, why did you do this to me? He's never angry, even if the results does not come. Because how does a devotee think? A devotee thinks, If there is any good outcome, it's because of Krishna's mercy. If there is any bad outcome, it's because of my own karma. This is how a devotee thinks. But material calculation is completely the opposite. If something good is there, it's because of my own effort, because I am qualified, because I worked hard, I studied well, I made the right choices. But if something bad happens, oh, God is unjust. There is no God. Why does God do this to me? But a devotee doesn't think like that.
यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
Translation. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge.
So here Krishna is saying, how does a person speak? How does he speak? He says that he's unaffected by good or evil. He neither praises it nor he despises it. What we just discussed, no, that a person he remains balanced in the material world. He is unaffected by good or evil. So whether the result, even if the result is good, he does not glorify himself. And even if the effect is evil, if it's not in his favor, then he does not blame God. We just said that. So this is how a person speaks. So here Krishna is answering Arjuna's question, how does he speak? He neither praises it nor despises it. 58.
यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
Translation. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limb within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness.
Here Krishna is answering the question of Arjuna, how does he sit? How does he sit? So what is Krishna? Here Krishna is giving an example. He's giving the example of a tortoise drawing its limbs within the shell. See here. When the tortoise sees danger, the tortoise is very much aware that his strong point is his shell, because the shell is very, very hard. So when the tortoise sees danger, he withdraws the limbs inside. He knows that the limbs are weak. The limbs are its weakness. So he withdraws the limbs inside the shell. So this is what a devotee does. When he sees danger or he sees something that is not good for his spirituality, immediately he withdraws himself from that, because the senses are our weakness. And Krishna is our strength. Devotional service is our strength. So we have to withdraw the sense organs from the sense objects. So the sense organs are eyes, ears, skin, tongue, and nose. Sense objects are form, sound, touch, taste, and smell. So we withdraw the eyes from the form when we see something that is not favorable for our Krishna consciousness. This is what a devotee does. We saw the story of Ajamila. Now Ajamila, he went to get flowers for offering it to the Lord. But when he saw the prostitute embracing that man in the forest, he became agitated. So what he had to do was, he should have withdrawn his eyes from that form. He should have not continued to see that. So this is what Krishna is saying, that a devotee, he withdraws the sense organs from the sense objects, just as how a tortoise withdraws its limbs when it sees danger into the shell. So this is what we should do because our weakness, just like how the tortoise weakness are the limbs, our weakness is our senses. So we have to withdraw our senses. Now, of course, the tortoise cannot permanently stay in this state. He cannot permanently remain inside the shell. So like that, we also sometimes, for different reasons, we may have to associate with people who are not devotees. We may have to see or hear some topics which are not really Krishna conscious, maybe for social obligations or family traditions or family obligations, or for the sake of preaching. we may have to do it. But as soon as we see that there is danger, as soon as we see that this is too much, this is not good for my spiritual life, immediately we should withdraw ourselves. So this is how he sits, Krishna is saying. How a Sthita Pragya sits. He withdraws his senses from the sense objects. See here, just as how the tortoise withdraws its limbs, a Sthita Pragya knows that his senses are his weakness and he will not allow the senses to be drawn by Maya. 59.
विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्ज्यं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते.
Translation: though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remain. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness.
See, now what Krishna is saying, that although, because previously he's talking about how the soul has to withdraw its senses, right? Withdraw the senses from the sense objects. Now what Krishna is saying, but although the soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects still remains. The taste for sense objects still remains. For example, see here Krishna is using the word ahara, nir-ahara. Nir-ahara means by negative restrictions. Now let's say somebody is an alcoholic. Now an alcoholic is going to think that alcohol is ahar for him, is his necessity. He will not think, see, is alcohol a necessity? No. Food, shelter, clothing, these are our necessities. Alcohol is not a necessity. But for somebody who's an alcoholic, he thinks that I cannot do without alcohol because he's addicted. Or somebody who's addicted to drugs also. He thinks that I cannot be without alcohol. I cannot be without the drugs. So for him, he thinks that it is ahar. It is a necessity. Now, if you tell the person you don't drink, and he tries to give it up by negative restrictions, then still the taste for sense object remains. Still the temptation will be there for that person. Unless the person goes to a rehabilitation center, undergoes proper treatment, this person who's a severe alcoholic will not be able to give up alcohol. So by negative restriction, we cannot control our senses. So what is the solution to this? The solution is by experiencing a higher taste. Krishna says, higher taste. When we take to Krishna consciousness, then we feel, when we get the happiness, that satisfaction, then we realize that what we were previously hankering for is not our necessity as we were previously thinking. Is not our necessity, because now we have developed a higher taste. Just as how when we eat prasad, we always know, no, prasad, that taste that is there in prasad is not the same taste that we may get when we have non-prasad food. It's not the same taste. Why? Because prasad has higher taste. So when we develop a higher taste, then we can give up other things that are below that. The lower things can be given up by developing a higher taste. That is the solution to this problem, that even though we try to restrict our senses, the taste for sense object remains. So how to resolve this issue? By developing a higher taste. See, if a child has a toy in his hand and you just tell the child, give the toy to me, the child will not be ready to give it to you. The child is going to cling on to it. The child will say, no, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you give a child a bigger, better, more attractive toy, then the child will take your new toy and then be ready to give up the old toy, right? Because now he's getting something bigger and better and more attractive. So we can give up the lower taste only by developing a higher taste. Only by developing a higher taste. We cannot artificially restrict the senses. Because the senses need some engagement. Something we have to do. We have to engage the senses in something. We cannot just say, don't do anything. No, don't engage your senses at all. We cannot come to that level. See, for example, now we may be going for a job, we are receiving a salary. Now, if the boss tells us one day that No need to come to work. You stay at home. You will get your salary at home. Will we take the offer or no? It's
Yes.
a good deal or not a good deal?
Good deal.
It's a good deal. Why not? Right? I stay at home. I don't have to work and I'm getting my salary. But now if the boss says you stay at home and you do nothing at all, you do absolutely nothing. Can we do it?
No.
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 We cannot do it because something we have to do. Otherwise we'll go crazy. It's impossible for us to do nothing. Right? Something we have to do. So the senses have to be engaged in something or the other. That something in which we have to engage our senses is what Krishna is calling as higher taste. Higher taste. See, when we go to the temple, we see why we have the deities. Because when we see the deities, we are engaging our sense of seeing. We are engaging our sight in admiring the beautiful form of the Lord. The deities are so beautifully decorated, the flowers, the clothes. So we are engaging our sense of sight in admiring the beauty of the deity. When we go to the temple, we smell the incense, we see the flowers that are offered to the Lord. Then when we receive the flower, we smell the flower. Why? Because we are engaging the sense of smell in the Lord. When we hear Krishna Katha, when we hear Kirtan, we are engaging our hearing in the service of the Lord. When we speak Krishna Katha, when we preach, we are engaging our tongue. Or when we eat prasad, we are engaging our tongue in tasting the remnants of the Lord. So that's how we engage our senses in the service of the Lord. Because the senses need some engagement. We cannot say that senses should not engage in anything at all. That's not possible. So that's why we have to develop a higher taste. Once we develop a higher taste, then we will give up our propensity to enjoy the lower things. So Sthita Pragya is one who can give up the taste for sense objects by experiencing a higher taste. Resisting temptation while holding on to attachments is like fighting an enemy while staying shackled. If we are tied up by ropes and we have to fight an enemy, first what we have to do, we have to first untie ourselves. We have to get the ropes off us in order to be able to fight the enemy. If we try to fight the enemy when we are still shackled, then we will not be able to fight with our full strength. So if we are trying to resist temptation while we are still holding on to attachments, then it's not a good fight that we are going to be able to put up.
Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramadhini haranti prasabham manaha.
Translation: the senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them.
So the senses are very, very strong. Krishna is saying they carry away the mind of even a man of discrimination. In the previous class, we saw how Vishwamitra was carried away just by the sound of the anklets of Menaka. So strong the mind is. See, just as how we have the 5 fingers and the 5 fingers are connected to our palm. In the same way, the 5 senses are internally connected to the mind. So even a man of discrimination can be carried away by the mind, can be carried away by the senses, Krishna is saying. So what is the solution? How are we going to be able to conquer it? On the strength of devotional service, on the strength of bhakti, on the strength of chanting the holy name. Because there is a lot of potency in devotional service. There is a lot of shakti in bhakti. Haridas Thakur, just on the strength of chanting the holy name, he was able to defeat Maya Devi herself. Imagine Maya Devi herself came, but Haridas Thakur remained fixed up. So on the strength of devotional service only, we can defeat Maya. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 6, there is a description of the fall down of Saubhari Muni. Now, Saubhari Muni was a very, very powerful sage, very, very potent sage. And he decided that he wants to meditate underwater. He had the ability to hold his breath for several years. He didn't have to breathe. So he went to meditate underwater. But he fell down because he got agitated by seeing fish mating in the water. Just imagine. Just by seeing the sight of two fishes mating in the water, it led to his fall down. So the senses are so strong, very hard to defeat them. Then he realizes his mistake. So then Saubhari Muni says, in the beginning, I was alone and engaged in performing the austerities of mystic yoga. But later, because of association of fish engaged in sex, I desired to marry. Then I became the husband of 50 wives, and in each of them I begot 100 sons. And thus my family increased to 5,000 members. So just imagine, from being that yogi who could hold his breath, such a powerful yogi, he was not able to control his senses. So by mystic yoga, by such practices, by austerities and tapasya, we cannot control our senses. Only by bhakti yoga, we can control our senses. When we resolve, I will not do this, the mind erases the not. So mind is like that. We say that I will not do this, but the mind says, the mind erases the not and says, I will do this. That's how the mind works. The mind is always going to attract us to do that which we should not do. That's why we should not follow our mind. Higher than the mind is the intelligence. So Krishna says, use your intelligence. Buddhi yoga. 61.
तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता.
Translation: one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence.
See, here for the first time, Krishna is revealing about himself as the object on whom the senses should be fixed up. So Krishna is saying, one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me. Krishna is saying, upon me. He's not talking about some third person. He's not saying that you fix your concentration on God or on Bhagavan. He's saying, fix it on me. So here he's talking about that the senses, the consciousness should be fixed up upon Krishna. There is no doubt. There is no room for any speculation here. Krishna very clearly is saying that we have to fix our consciousness upon him. So here Krishna is talking about control, concentration, and conquest. What do we have to control? Krishna is saying restrain his senses. So we have to control our senses. Then he's saying that you have to concentrate, keeping them under full control and fix consciousness upon me. So we have to concentrate our mind on Krishna. And then the senses are conquered. So such a person who's fixed up, then he has conquered his senses. Such a person is a man of steady intelligence. See, in our Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a story of King Ambarish and sage Durvasa. Very interesting that today we are discussing the story. It was not planned that way. Because in this story, we have King Ambarish, who was a devotee, and he was following the Ekadasi Vrata. Today is Ekadasi in India and some other parts of the world. In this part of the world, here in Chile, it is Dwadasi. So Ambarish had followed the Ekadasi Vrata and he was about to break his fast on Dwadasi. It's very important that the fast is broken on time on Dwadasi. If you don't break the fast within the stipulated period on Dwadasi, you will not get the full benefit of your Ekadasi fasting. So in this story, Ambarish is just about to break his Ekadasi fast on Dwadasi, and that's when sage Durvasa arrives. Now, who is sage Durvasa? He is known for his
For his anger.
For his anger, yes. He appears even in the Mahabharata. When does he appear in the Mahabharata?
In Mahabharata.
When they are in the forest, the Pandavas.
Yes.
When the Pandavas are in the forest for 13 years, he goes to he goes for alms and asks them for food.
Okay, and then?
I think Draupadi prays to the sun god.
You're getting there?
Yeah, that's
So
all.
Draupadi had an Akshay Patra. No? What was the speciality of that, which she got from Suryadev?
It can feed many people.
As long as?
She eats.
As long as she eats, right? So until Draupadi has not eaten, that the food in that vessel will multiply as many times as required until she eats. But once she eats, then that will not happen anymore. So this was given to her by Suryadev. Now Durvasa Muni went to the forest, and of course, when you receive a guest, Vedic culture is you have to feed the person, isn't it? So Durvasa Muni, did he go alone?
No, he went
With how many
his
people he went?
disciples. With
With army. Huh?
He went along with his army?
Not army, his disciples. So how many of them were there? 10,000. He went with 10,000 of his followers. Okay. So it's not easy to feed 10,000 people, isn't it? But then Yudhishthir invited him, and then Durvasa Muni said that I will go and have a bath and then I will come back. Now Draupadi was in a dilemma because she had already eaten at that time. So there was nothing. What are they going to serve Durvasa? So they were afraid that Durvasa will be very angry, no? And then he may curse. Then of course Krishna comes to the rescue. That's another story. But anyway, Durvasa was known for his anger. So in this story also, Durvasa appears just when Ambarish is about to break his fast on Dwadasi. Let's see what happens. Okay, we'll see a video.
Story of King Ambarish. King Ambarish was a very devout king. He was the son of King Mandata. King Ambarish was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. His story comes in Srimad Bhagawad Puran. It is said that once King Ambarish performed the Dwadashi fast, which required that the king must start the fast on Ekadashi and break the fast at the start of Dwadashi and also feed all the people. When the time of breaking the fast came near, Rishi Durvasa suddenly came to meet King Ambarish. King Ambarish asked Rishi Durvasa to be his guest. Rishi Durvasa went to take bath in river Yamuna, and it so happened that he did not return at the time of breaking the fast. The Brahmins advised King Ambarish to break his fast in the absence of Rishi Durvasa. When Rishi Durvasa returned and saw that King Ambarish had broken the fast, he became very angry. In his anger, he produced a ferocious demon to kill Ambarish. But as Ambarish was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Sudarshan Chakra of Vishnu intervened and killed the demon. The chakra then started following Durvasa to kill him. In great fear, Durvasa went to Brahmaji and Lord Shiva to save him from Sudarshan Chakra, but they expressed their inability. Then Durvasa went to Lord Vishnu and asked him to stop his chakra. Lord Vishnu told Durvasa that the chakra could only be stopped by Ambarish and advised Durvasa to go to Ambarish and request him to stop the chakra. Rishi Durvasa then approached King Ambarish and asked him for his forgiveness. King Ambarish requested the chakra to stop and not kill Durvasa. This story from Srimad Bhagawad Puran teaches us that Lord protects his devotee under any circumstances. If we keep our faith in God and if we are devoted to God, we will be protected at all times. If you like this video, please click the like.
So what do we learn from the story?
That anger can destroy.
Anger can destroy. Yes, very nice.
That God protects his devotees the most.
God protects his devotees. Very nice. What else?
The devotees are more dear to the Lord.
The devotees are very dear to the Lord. So therefore, we should be very careful not to offend a devotee. Never commit Vaishnava aparadha. Never offend a devotee, because that is very, very serious crime. See, there is a difference between a sin and an offense, between papa and aparadha. Which is more serious, papa or aparadha?
Aparadha is more serious.
Aparadha is more serious. So we can, I mean, Vaishnava aparadha is there and Guru aparadha also is there. So aparadha is a more serious crime. Papa, how can we overcome sinful reactions? By devotional service, by chanting the holy name. But aparadha, the only solution to overcome aparadha is to
ask forgiveness to the devotees if you offend them.
Exactly.
If you offend them.
Yes. The only way to overcome Vaishnava aparadha is to ask for forgiveness from the devotee whom we have offended. The holy name does not have that potency.
Sorry?
Does the holy name have the potency to overcome aparadha?
No.
No.
Yes.
Actually, the potency is there, but the potency is locked by Krishna. The potency is there, but it is locked by Krishna, because remember, Krishna can override the rules of the game for his devotee. So when his devotee is offended, then there is no other escape, there is no other way to overcome it other than asking for forgiveness from the devotee whom you have offended. As we saw in this case, Lord Vishnu said, I will not free you from the Sudarshan Chakra. Lord Vishnu could do it or he could not do it?
Yes.
He could do it because it's his weapon. It is his weapon. Of course, he can control his weapon. But even he said, I will not do it. So the potency is locked by the Lord. He said, you go and ask forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj. So then Ambarish Maharaj forgave him because he's a devotee. But why are we talking about this story here? What is the context? See, here, Krishna is talking about one who Sthita Pragya is one who restrains his senses and keeps them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, Krishna says. Now, if you see Durvasa Muni and King Ambarish is a Grihastha, Durvasa Muni is a sannyasi. Now, externally speaking, who is in a higher position, a sannyasi or a Grihastha?
Sannyasi.
A sannyasi, correct. Now, King Ambarish is a Kshatriya and Durvasa Muni is a Brahmana. Now, who is, externally speaking, who is superior? The Kshatriya or the Brahmanas?
Brahmanas.
Yes, but here we saw Ambarish was completely, Ambarish defeated Durvasa Muni completely. Yes. Why? Because Ambarish fixed up his mind on the Lord. Durvasa Muni's mind was not fixed up on the Lord. Durvasa Muni's concentration was what? I, me, myself. I should be honored. How can you eat? That's an insult to me. So Durvasa Muni's focus was not Krishna. Durvasa Muni's focus was not the Lord. Durvasa Muni's focus was I should be honored. So Krishna is saying that a Sthita Pragya fixes his consciousness on me, Krishna says. But Durvasa Muni's mind was not fixed up on the Lord. That's why we brought up the story here.
And
So
how about
Pragya,
no, I'll tell them.
So a Sthita Pragya fixes his mind, his consciousness on the Lord. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Lavina now.
No, I just wanted to, if anybody insults somebody's guru, then what is the, means how you said that if we insult or Vaishnavas, we have to ask the forgiveness to that disciple. And how about the people who insult or Guru.
If somebody insults a
Other
guru, that
gurus.
is guru aparad.
Yeah.
That is also aparad. So again, the only way to come out of this is by asking for forgiveness. There is no other way. Because when you commit an aparad, it immediately triggers off your fall down. It will immediately trigger your fall down unless you ask for forgiveness and the person forgives you. Of course, a Vaishnava will always forgive. We saw Ambarish was ready to forgive Durvasa, although Durvasa was ready to kill him. So now modern day mentality is if somebody slaps you, immediately you want to hit the person back. Immediately, no? Reflex action. But a devotee is compassionate. So when the forgiveness was asked for, a Vaishnava also forgives. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Story.
Okay, so here we see that Ambarish is a Kshatriya and Grihastha and Durvasa is Brahman and Sannyasi, but still Ambarish was able to overcome because his concentration was fixed up on the Lord, but not that of Durvasa Muni. So see the yes in the no to a no. For example, if we are driving and we come across a roadblock that says that the street is closed. Now we go around, again take a U-turn and again come back to this place. Then we say this person is foolish. The road is already blocked. We don't see, we don't fail to see that there is another sign that says that, okay, you take this road. This particular street is closed, but you can go here or you can go here. You can take a tour this side or that side. So we have to see the yes in the no. See the yes in the no. So when one door is closed, it means that another door has been opened up. When we control our senses, we have to take higher taste. When that other door is open, we develop a higher taste and don't get depressed that we cannot engage in sense gratification. The way to say no to temptation is to say yes to devotion. So when we develop higher taste, when we take bhakti, when we have devotion in our heart, then we will not fall a prey to temptation. So see the yes in the no to a no. Change is easier when we focus on starting something positive, not on stopping something negative. So we should not only focus on don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. If we only tell a child, no, 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 don't do this, don't do that, then the child is not going to be able to follow your instruction. But instead, you give the child better engagement, right? If you tell the child, don't watch TV, the child may not be willing to switch off the TV. But if you tell the child, come, let's do something together, or let's go out for a walk, or let's do some painting together, let's do some drawing together, then the child will be willing to come to you, isn't it? So focus on something positive, not on stopping something negative. Because again, we have to give the mind some engagement. We have to give the senses some engagement. That engagement is the higher taste. Stop worrying about avoiding temptation. Start working on cultivating absorption. See, we have 4 rules: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. And we also have one instruction. The first instruction that is given to us is chant 16 rounds. So anybody can chant. If we focus more on no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, and we are not chanting, then we will not be able to go very far. We will not be able to make much progress. But irrespective of whether we are eating meat or engaging in intoxication or gambling or whatever it is, if we start chanting, when we start chanting, automatically we will lose the taste for these 4 sinful activities. It will happen by default. It will automatically happen. When you start chanting, automatically you will no more enjoy these 4 sinful activities. It happens automatically. It happens naturally. And I'm saying this from personal experience. And many people, anyone who has experience in chanting will be able to guarantee that after they started chanting, automatically they have lost the taste for meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. So it's better to focus more on what you should do than focus on what you should not do. Because what you should not do will automatically happen if you do what you're supposed to do. Purification reveals the healthier choice to be also the tastier choice. Now, for example, If you give a child candy and carrot, now which is the healthier choice?
Carrot.
Carrot is the healthier choice. But for the child, which is the tastier choice?
Caramel.
Candy.
The candy is the tastier
Mm,
choice.
mm.
So when we have a childlike mentality, or when we are not yet purified, no, when we are less intelligent, then we think that engaging in sense gratification is the tastier option. And restricting our senses may be the healthier option, but I want the tastier option. I want the candy. So a less intelligent person or a person may think that restricting or not engaging in sense gratification is actually it may be a healthier choice, but it is not the tastier choice. But when we engage in chanting, when we engage in devotional services, when we do bhakti, then automatically we will see that the healthier choice is also the tastier choice. Previously, we were thinking the other way around because of our own impurification. See, if when somebody is affected by jaundice, in the previous times, there was no medicine for jaundice. The only cure for jaundice was sugar candy. Okay. But the problem is, because this person has jaundice, because he's in a disease state, when he takes the sugar candy, that sugar candy tastes very, very bitter. It's very bitter. Sugar is not bitter. Sugar is sweet. But because he is diseased, he feels that sugar candy to be very, very bitter. But then if he wants to be cured of the disease, he has to take the bitter medicine. When he takes the sugar candy, he takes the bitter medicine. But as he's cured of the disease, that very same sugar which was tasting bitter now tastes very, very sweet. Because now he is cured of the disease. So when we are materially diseased, we think that controlling the senses and engaging in bhakti is very boring, it's very restrictive, it's not the tastier choice. But when we are purified of our material disease, when we are cured of our material disease, by taking the medicine, right? By chanting our rounds. Initially, when we chant, we think that it's very boring. I'm not able to do it. It's taking my time. I don't enjoy it. But then it's because we are in a disease state. But if we continue to take the medicine, then we will be cured of our disease. And that very same chanting, you will hold on to your chanting as your life and soul. Then one day, if you're not able to chant, you think that everything is going wrong that day. You just cannot, you'll go insane if you don't chant your round. You will come to that level. So with time, it will be revealed that the tastier choice is also the healthier choice. For that, we have to be purified. For that, we have to be cured from our material disease. Let's go to 62. Okay, I think we'll stop here. We'll continue in the next class if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So in the next class, hopefully we will finish up the chapter.
Yeah.
We've already put up the question paper. Did you all see?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you all worked on it? How was the question paper? Is it difficult, hard, easy?
No, if we'll go through again then it's easier. Not easier, I can say that. For you it is easier, not for us. But still we have to do a second time we have to see the videos and so that we can understand some things.
Okay.
At least
So
from my side.
What's that?
At least from my side, it's like that.
Okay. So if you have the book Bhagavad Gita, you don't need to refer to the slides. You don't need to refer to anything else. Everything is there in that book. In each question, I've also put the shloka number where you can find the answer, right? So it will make it easier for you to spot you know where exactly the answer is, in which shloka. So if you have the book, it will be easier for you to see the answer in the book and answer it online. Now, if you don't have the book and you're using the online Veda base, then it will be a better idea for you to print a PDF. I can share the PDF on the, I think Disha, can you share the PDF in the group, please, for chapter 2? Are you there, Disha Jadwani? Okay, she's not there. So anyway, I will speak to her and we will share the
the Word file or the PDF in the group, and you can work on that on your sheet of paper and check the answers online. And then when you have all your answers ready, you just go to formatives and you can just put the correct answers. That will also be easier for you. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss?
No.
No questions?
No.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you all for attending and for your
Thank
patience,
you.
for your sincerity, and for your enthusiasm.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's see you all next week. Till then, have a nice
Thank
weekend.
you.
Nice week of Krishna.
Thank you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Krishna.
Thank
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada
Thank you,
ki
ma'am.
jai, Bhagavad Gita
Hey.
ki.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.